Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, January 30th, 2019. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday said SVG needs a push to stimulate economic growth and more needs to be done to attract private and public sector investment. Making his contribution to the debate on the 2019 budget estimates in Parliament yesterday, the opposition leader said although the estimates reflect a lot of numbers, over the years the monies the government says it has to spend are not being spent, which creates a problem.
The amortization payments have to be made, and that is substantial at $137.3 million. And the sinking fund contribution have to be put there to pay debts that the government has incurred. So what has happened, Mr. Speaker, over the years is that the government finds itself in a situation which we have always spoken about in the past, you know. Mr. Eustace has always pointed this out, that if you continue to spend and you don't have a surplus that is generated on your current account that you can use to put towards capital projects, that ultimately what happens, Mr. Speaker, is this retards growth, but it also puts the government, this government, in a situation ultimately where it has no room to maneuver.
Dr. Friday said even with a big budget allocation, the government will not be able to fulfill many of the promises made, as it simply does not have the financial resources to carry out some of the projects outlined, which if completed will help to create economic growth.
I don't want to say it's not worth the paper, Mr. Speaker, but the fact is that every year we have this grand gesture of things to come, and they simply do not materialize. And it's not that we have had something unexpected happen. The fact is, this was actually planned in advance. It was a deliberate act of deception, in my opinion. It means, Mr. Speaker, that roads won't be repaired as they should. I hear the Minister of Transport sometimes, I think he's taking up our cause on this side, because when we talk about the problems on various roads not being fixed, he says, well, I made the request to the Ministry of Finance, but it's not forthcoming.
The opposition leader said that SVG is sliding behind its neighbors in the OECS.
Of a gold rush now, so there's a lot of interest there. But other important areas, other aspects of agriculture, in the tourism infrastructure, call centers, Mr. Speaker, where have these call centers gone? I was speaking to a colleague from Jamaica recently, and she told me that they are investing in that area, and that the Holness government is finding some success in setting up call centers. Why is it that we, back in 2001, I recall we had one here, the government decided it was going to invest as an equity partner in the venture. Ultimately, I was never quite clear of the reason, but it didn't work. I remember the then Minister of Communication and Technology came to this house, and he suddenly actually admitted, he said government shouldn't have been involved in that because they don't really know how to manage and run call centers. But we have to be more creative, Mr. Speaker, in attracting private sector investment.
The country's public debt as at September 30th, 2018 amounts to $1,614,636,050. This was outlined by Minister of Finance Camilo Gonzalez during his presentation yesterday of the 2019 budget estimates. Minister Gonzalez said the figure is 1% less than the total disbursed outstanding debt for the comparative period in 2017. He said the total domestic debt of $528.2 million as of September 30th, 2018 fell by 7.1% or $40.2 million when compared to the same period in 2017. The external debt, he said, is $1.086 billion, an increase of 2% or $23.9 million when compared to the external debt for September 30th, 2017.
The movement in the domestic debt was due mainly to the following. 1. The total government bonds and treasury notes issued and outstanding over the period fell by 9.4% or 25.9 million. At the same time, the total treasury bills outstanding also fell by 39.9% or $6.1 million. And second, over the period, the balance outstanding on overdrafts owed by the public sector contracted by 9.6 million or 16.8%, but local loans increased by 5.2% or $8.1 million. During the period of September 30th, 2017 to September 30th, 2018, there was a net increase in the external debt by $23.9 million, as I indicated earlier. The main driver accounting for this change in the external indebtedness of the government is a $22.8 million increase in external fixed-rate bonds.
The finance minister further noted that the total debt service for 2019 is estimated at $257.1 million or 40% of the current revenue, which is as a result of the maturity of 2 bonds.
The debt service requirements for 2019 are made up of interest payments of $68.4 million, amortization of $137.4 million, and sinking fund contributions of $51.9 million. Notwithstanding this, the external debt, which is the larger component of our total debt stock, is mostly concessional with low interest rates and long maturities, carrying an average interest rate on the external debt of 2.1%. and an effective interest rate averaging 3.1% over the last 2 years. More details on the public debt can be found on pages 721 to 727 of the estimates.
No marijuana seeds are being imported into SVG for the use in medical marijuana. This was made clear by Minister of Agriculture Soboto Caesar while responding to a question in Parliament yesterday by Opposition Senator Cabe Bacchus Baptiste on whether or not the seeds or seedlings being nurtured at the tissue culture lab at Orange Hill are also imported. Minister Caesar said persons or entities who are interested in scientific marijuana testing can do so through the Ministry of Agriculture.
A cannabis research and development unit is established in the Ministry of Agriculture, and pursuant to the Drug Prevention of Misuse Cannabis Scientific Testing Order 2018, in accordance with powers conferred by Section 9(4) of the Drugs Prevention of Misuse Act, Chapter 284 of the Laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Revised Edition 2009, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Bureau of Standards, and the University of the West Indies can carry out scientific testing, and they also can supervise any party wishing to conduct scientific testing. This has nothing to do, Mr. Speaker, with the Medicinal Cannabis Industry Act of 2018 or the Amnesty Act of 2018. This is not production, but purely permission to conduct scientific testing.
The Agriculture Minister, however, noted that to get involved in scientific testing, a research proposal must be presented, which will be assessed by a review panel.
It meets the requirements necessary to justify scientific research. A research supervisor will be assigned and permission granted. Dr. Rafiq Bailey will supervise research touching and concerning agronomy, and Ezra Ledger would supervise research regarding extractions, chemicals and compounds. And Professor Ogaru is the person that we are liaising with from the University of the West Indies. The process of the establishment of a research and development platform will allow for significant technology transfer, needed interaction between researchers and traditional cultivators, and provide an opportunity for us to hold fast to the principle and precept that medicinal cannabis begins and ends with science.
Some $33 million are yet to be paid for 125 parcels of lands used for the construction of the Argyle International Airport. This was disclosed in Parliament yesterday by Minister of Finance Camila Gonzalez, who was at the time responding to a question by parliamentary representatives for East Kingston and users on the status of the payments.
Lands are divided into two categories: lands with deeds and lands where ownership issues remain unsettled, with deeds and without deeds. And the majority of those 125 plots are lands for which we are still trying to ascertain who to pay, because there's no deed for the land. As of June 7th, the outstanding amount for the lands with deeds was $19.5 million, inclusive of interest, while the sum owed on the lands without deeds was $13.7 million, inclusive of interest. So the grand remaining total is $33,109,354.
Minister Gonzalez said that the government and the International Airport Development Company are currently working out a plan to make the outstanding payments.
To try to ascertain land ownership issues, because that has been a very lengthy process in some cases. And even though the majority still are without deeds, that number has been falling as we've been working to resolve that issue. I don't have today a date that I can give you with specificity, but the plan is ongoing, and we hope to announce the details of the plan in this current year. I'm obliged.
The finance minister said since November 30th, 2017, the 142 homeowners at Argyle who had to give up their properties for the construction of the airport were fully compensated to the tune of $60,136,672. Tenants of the Russell Center are complaining of students' vandalism, reckless behavior, which they say are affecting their businesses. More than 10 businesses operate out of the Russell Center, including Massey stores, who have complained of the students' behavior. SVGTV News spoke with some of the concerned business operators who said the problem usually starts just after 3 p.m. when school is dismissed, and children are there in their uniforms up to 5 p.m. and oftentimes blocking shoppers from entering the compound.
Loitering all along there, especially after 3. You see that steps there? You cannot walk there. We cannot walk there. We either have to walk around in the car park or tell them to excuse, and they're not even getting up. They will just slide across. If you go around and look at the wall, look at the background there, there's thing wrong, the damage first, there's markers marking up the building. It takes money to repair those stuff. This has been happening for a while. For a while, Mrs. Russell would try, she would try call, she had police go. Sometimes, I mean, the police tried, but they would come back. The crowd would lessen down and then they start back up again. I don't think the transportation is a problem. I just think they just figure they want to lime. It's all about liming. But for their sake, I am begging, please, they could just go home. They could just go home. Make it better for everybody. Because after a while, you're going to hear they argue and they start fighting. Then they're going to put this at an expense because they're going to damage people's place.
Good afternoon. My name is Kyle Bramble. I'm an employee at Sports Locker Plus. On the evening after 3 o'clock, it's really difficult for customers to come into the business. The school children, they are liming and they are just making a lot of trouble. Up to yesterday afternoon, there was a big fight in here, and they have a lot of gambling, doing a whole set of things instead of going straight home and stuff. Here become a liming spot for them after school, and they just come in and hang out. And when you tell them excuses, they don't even want to move for people to pass. So it's really getting overbearing. And the vans them are stopping here and making matters worse.
The business operators are asking for the intervention of the Ministry of Education, the police, and parents in the matter.
It's like they're trying to destroy something, so you have to be talking to them. And you have to be careful you talk to them too. Some would cost you, and some of them they would be nice, they would leave. But when you look at some of the young girls, oh gosh. So we are trying, we're begging the parents, we're begging the school, please see what you can do, please. All of the school, every one of the school. We come from Barley, intermediate, grammar school, all the school you could think of, because they're in the uniform.
The whole idea of people going somewhere to catch a bus when school over, that is what we really need to have happen here. We need more control here. The police present need to be more vigilant around here after 3 o'clock so that we could get these kids home, because really and truly they should be home studying their schoolwork. Well, it's been going on now for a long time, and we tried different things. We tried taping off the area, try to get them keep back, but it's still not helping. We even blocked the train for the van them down to come in here, but they still coming in down there and still coming in and pick up people. So we tried different things and stuff like that. Some police came at one time, it kind of quiet down, but then it going back up because the police them left. So we tried different things to get the kids them to get home and to leave the compound at an all the time. But
owner of the Russell's Shopping Center has indicated to SVG-TV News that they have done their best to ensure the tenants operate in a safe environment, and that they have made several attempts to bring the loitering children under control, but to no avail. The owners said that their tenants have threatened to leave due to this problem. In other news, 55 primary schools across SVG will be participating in this year's Primary School Performing Arts Festival, PRISPAF. The 13th year festival was launched last Friday at the Kingston Public Library by the Ministry of Education, Culture and the Eastern Caribbean Group of Companies. A check of $15,000 EC was also handed over to the coordinator by ECGC to assist in the hosting of this year's festival. Coordinator of the festival, Martin Kwashi, has been working with participating students and said that many children have hidden talents which usually go unrecognized by parents, and the Performing Arts Festival allows them to harness their talent.
Schools Performing Arts Festival is an avenue to develop and harness the talents of our young children. Why wouldn't you want to give them the chance? Why would you keep them back from performing and showing the nation that these people, they have the talent? It's down there we have to start nurturing them. When they are small, when they are at kindergarten, and even before that, the parent in her home or his home, or the both man and woman, they would be nurturing their students, teaching them how to play and how to say and how to sing and how to speak and all that.
Cultural Coordinator Anthony Tibble said that the performing arts also helps students to be well-rounded individuals, which is what is required to be good citizens in today's society.
One thing is that they exercise a certain amount of self-discipline. Another thing is that they expand the range of skill sets. And very importantly, they learn cooperation by participating in groups. So for all these reasons, all these ways in which the non-academic things broaden a person as a human being, we want to encourage and ask for the support that the children be allowed to share their talent.
The festival starts on Tuesday, February 5th and ends on the 6th of March 2019.